Mercy's damage boost has been nerfed. Lifeweaver is getting somewhat of a giga buff to his Tree of Life. Torbjorn is going to be getting a machine gun on his primary fire because I don't even know. Guys, I don't know what to talk about. Here is the director's take from Aaron Keller himself for the hero balance preview for Overwatch 2 Invasion. Let's talk about it. I'm going to read the article and then we're going to break down what this means for the future of the game. And I've already read it, but we're going to read it again together and we're going to analyze it now. And honestly, I don't know about these changes, fam. This is really dangerous territory that we're going into, but let's have a quick read. Let's see what the Overwatch development team is thinking. So there's a lot coming to the game in Overwatch 2 Invasion, that is for sure. It's very exciting. All the new trailers and the anime stuff is very cool. Aaron Keller goes on to say that we've talked about the new story missions, event mission, and new game mode, the new hero progression system, as well as hero mastery missions. And we'll talk about our new support heroes soon. On top of these new additions, there's also a lot of changes coming to our current heroes next season. Nearly half of the heroes are getting balance changes. I won't go over every change in the season here. They'll be in the patch notes, but I'll go over some of the larger ones. So this is really, really important. Half the cast is about to get changed, and it's going to be very interesting. For better or for worse, we don't know. So two things that he did say, Aaron Keller, in this article, I'm not going to read all that, just kind of, give you guys the short form, is that they don't want to release a hero like the Lifeweaver experiment. Let's just call it the Lifeweaver experiment, where they think that they release a hero in a bit of an underpowered state and slowly buff them over time, but that clearly doesn't help, and obviously Lifeweaver is going to need a lot of help in order to become viable. But in my personal opinion, and everybody's more than welcome to disagree, Lifeweaver is just flawed from a design perspective, not from the perspective that Aaron Keller and the balance team thinks. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So Aaron Keller said it's not their intent to release the new heroes to be OP, but they do wish that they bring value. So the new support, she will bring value, not just because she's new, but they want her to be viable. So I think that's what he was trying to say. And they said that they're going to be careful, they'll be listening to feedback, all that good stuff. The next thing we got coming up is there's going to be a change to the way armor works against damage. Armor damage reduction is now additive with other sources of damage reduction and respects the current cap of 50%. It used to be multiplicative with damage reduction from abilities, creating situations where certain heroes were much more difficult to damage and eliminate than intended. It shouldn't be a big deal more than against... it's just going to affect Ramatra and Orisa because, they get these like damage reductions when they use Fortify and the block appropriately. I think it might be a thing with Doomfist too. I'm not entirely sure, but we will see. On to the balance. I'm going to keep some of these short. So for Cassidy, they're giving him a health buff. I don't know why they're doing this again. I don't know, like the fact that they've done this almost 3-4 times now, and each time it's happened, players have not been a fan of it because it ends up making Cassidy really oppressive. And for some strange reason, they keep coming back to this and think that this is a good change. I will never ever understand Blizzard. Like they can't make up their mind. Even when it comes to a character like Soldier 76, they've danced around with his damage numbers, never making up their mind. And the Cassidy HP buff at this point is a meme. We're going to get the thick Cass again. And this time he's going to have some changes to his damage fall off. We're going to see how that's going to work. Because, the numbers are not listed over here. However, Magnetic Grenade is going to get... its range is going to become shorter quite a bit with a 1.5 second max travel time. So honestly, I didn't think Magnetic Grenade was that much of a problem anymore. Yeah, every now and then it was a little bit annoying, but I don't think Mag Grenade was a problem. Them kind of nerfing it again to have an excuse to give him 225 HP is like, sure, whatever. Like Mag Grenade is like barely useful now because of the way they changed how it works. It is still, I'm not saying it's not useful, it has its uses, but it's not that like reliable anymore. They also said that Soldier 76 got a pretty big buff in season 5, and while they don't think he's oppressive, they do think that there's room to lower his overall damage output. So Helix Rocket is going to be the one that gets a little bit of, a bit of a little slap on the wrist, and then they're going to increase the cost of his ult. That's okay, I don't really mind that, although they want the shooty part of the gun to feel better and not the rocket, so it is what it is. I think Soldier's fine, honestly. Like, I think where they have Soldier now, he's perfect. He can kind of, like, he's still not the best hit scan. He's a great middle ground, jack of all trades, master of none. See what I did there? Because his name is Jack Morrison. Let's continue with the patch notes. Anyways, so we also know that going into the rest of the hero roster, that Orisa is actually getting some changes. So her Fortify will give her 125 bonus health, and her damage fall off will be slightly extended. So if I understand this correctly, damage fall off being extended means that her damage fall off, like because it's being extended, you will be able to reliably do more damage. Because if this means that like now your fall off is worse, Orisa struggles to kill things anyway. She does a pretty good job of staying alive, and honestly, with the support changes that are coming, especially to Lifeweaver, I'm really scared. And we're now getting to that part. Moving down from this article, we've reached the part where we talk about the supports. Now, while Aaron Keller goes on to say, while we're releasing a new support in Invasion, we think it's necessary to make changes to our current support heroes. We're continuing to focus on Lifeweaver. We think he's in a much better spot now than launch, but we're going to focus on giving his ult more impact and giving Lifeweaver more survivability. Now, part of Tree of Life's healing will be converted into overhealth up to a maximum of 100 HP per player. He will also get more survivability because his HP bar, some of it will be converted into shields, and his healing done with rejuvenating dash is going to go up a little bit too. So this is crazy. We're gonna talk about this from a broader perspective in a moment. Kiriko's Protection Suzu actually got a very big net buff, and I'm going to explain how that works in just a moment. So it apparently now heals slightly less, but when it cleanses a negative effect, it will do an additional burst of healing. The slight knockback on Suzu is also being removed, so the boop is basically gone from it. And you know, we'd like for this they say that we'd like for this ability to feel more pointed. We don't want players to feel like they have to hold it, and would like to reward them for using it more situationally. Yeah, but that's kind of the point, though. If you want to counter negative effects, you're going to kind of hold it for those negative effects. Like they kind of don't understand how strong Suzu is. Like the only way to address this would be to lower its cooldown, but it's already on a pretty decent cooldown for such a strong ability. So the reason why this is a net buff, let's assume, I don't know the exact number, so just bear with me, okay? Let's assume that the healing was 60, right? So the Suzu did 60 healing. Now it's going to do slightly less healing, but when, like let's say now it went from 60 to 50 or 60 to 40. However, in return, if you remove a negative effect and then you do the burst healing, it's going to be more, an additional burst. So it's going to be another burst. We don't know how that's going to work. If it's just more HP or like 2 bursts of HP, we don't know. But in theory, let's assume that the healing goes down from 60 to 50, and then the burst healing that's additional is going to be 20 or 30, right? In theory, overall in a game, Kiriko is going to have more healing just because there are so many negative effects in the game now. The stuck effect, the hindered effect, Ash's burn, Anna's nade. The list actually goes on. Discord orb, like there's a handful of things that you can mention that are quote-unquote negative effects. So in my personal opinion, this is actually a very like stealth buff. It's meant to look like it's a nerf, but it's actually a pretty decent buff. And I don't think the healing slightly less even affects Kiriko. Like her papers do really good healing. Like she is a main healer. Like she does a lot of healing. So it's probably not even like a big deal. Probably against it's probably just going to feel a little bit bad on tank, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Kiriko just got buffed, and Lifeweaver got buffed. Like we've been seeing a trend. I've been saying this for a while now, that healing is constantly going up in the game, and damage is constantly getting nerfed in the game. We are literally going into a new Ghost meta, and I will talk about that in just a moment. So finally, it's the Mercy damage boost nerf that it's being reduced from 30 to 25. And they are basically said that at this value, we feel that it's still effective, but it will allow us to rein in certain damage spikes. They don't want damage numbers to be out of control. They know that it's a topic amongst the community that's constantly talked about, and they are trying to be receptive to community opinion. So they're very aware that, yeah, you know, people are a bit frustrated at Mercy right now. In my personal opinion, I would have toned it all the way down to 20% and given her back like her really strong movement. Because Mercy players really enjoyed that. Like a lot of Mercy players have also basically said that they don't care about damage boost. They really just enjoy the hero for their movement, and because the movement has been kind of dealt with, they're very upset about that. So the way I see it is that she just got nerfed. There was no compensation or anything like that. The problem I have with this as well is basically the only reason you would pick Mercy is for the damage boost. So I really hope it doesn't hurt the breakpoints too much. Because if it does hurt the breakpoints too much, then why would you ever want Mercy over Zenyatta? Like, Zenyatta gives a 20% damage increase to one target, but that's from everybody on your team, right? And Mercy's ability to make one player a raid boss is very strong. I don't think she's going to be unviable. I think there'll be some there'll be some breakpoints that now healing will just take over. Like, this is what I find so awkward, right? Like, again, damage boost getting nerfed, and some, like, for example, like Cassidy getting his fall off a bit adjusted, and Soldier getting the Helix rocket nerf, and I feel like other DPSs, like, we don't have the full patch notes. I'm going to predict that other DPSs will get some slaps on the wrist too for no reason. Support is going to feel, or in this case, healing is going to feel incredibly oppressive. And I don't think people understand. This is Overwatch's last shot to bringing in a new player base that they can retain. And people are coming into this game with the expectations that it's a shooter game. And if in your shooter game, nothing is dying, that is really bad. And look, I'm trying to talk about this from a very simplistic perspective. I could talk about a lot of things right now because I was theory crafting with my friends last night, and my brother as well. And I was like, think about it. Like let's talk about 𝐒𝐿𝐻 3.0. 𝐒𝐿𝐻 3.0 can potentially happen because you have so many overhealth abilities in the game now, or at least a handful of them, with Brigida's Rally, with Lifeweaver's ult, the Tree of Life, and you also have Jungle Queen's commanding shout. Like, can we see the surgence of a brawl meta where it's Junker Queen, Lifeweaver, Brigitte, and it takes advantage of the overhealth and nothing dies again, and we literally go back to the state of the game when Junker Queen came out with the official launch of Overwatch 2, with 𝐒𝐿𝐻𝐂 and everything, and we were in this, like, at the higher levels of play, we were playing this JOTS meta, that's what it was called, Junker Queen GOATs, and nothing was dying. Everybody was too scared to engage because and the thing is, like, you basically have to play burst damage heroes, but there's just one problem. Over the past few patch notes, burst damage heroes have been kind of nerfed. So the thing I'm really scared about, and I really want this game to succeed, the thing I'm really, really scared about is that what is the answer to the massive healing increase in the game? Healing is getting out of control, and we will not have a choice. Like, this is what Blizzard have to understand. Funnily enough, I was hoping that healing got nerfed going into season 6 or in the season invasion, whatever you want to call it. And I have my reasons for that. I don't want to waste too much time for you guys. Why I'm concerned is if people come into the game and they don't feel satisfied about playing Overwatch. What was the biggest problem in Overwatch 1 that a lot of people just stopped playing Overwatch? They never felt like they were rewarded for shooting something because there was a lot of shields in that game and healing was high. Okay, we've gotten rid of the shields. We've given a lot of sustainability abilities to a lot of heroes now in the tank roster, and even in the support roster, they have a handful of abilities to take care of themselves now. And from that perspective, my question becomes is, if supports and the one tank are just not going to die because healing has gone up so much and these sustainability abilities have been so buffed and healing crept, they just get the healing increased almost every patch now. Every patch, there's a healing increase. Somebody is getting the healing numbers going up. If it's not in their base interaction of, like, for example, 𝐒𝐿𝐻𝐂's papers or Mercy's healing staff or Moira's spray, it's in some part of their ability or their ultimate where the numbers go up. So the overall healing is going higher and higher and higher. And Blizzard, I don't know how they're going to approach this, because they would have two ways to go. You power creep the game, where now tanks and damage heroes will need big buffs. And we're going to go back to the same problem just a few months ago, where things were getting one-shotted and nobody enjoys that. But now the problem is okay, now we've kind of dealt with that, but now healing is strong, and the dev team is like, yeah, we're just going to make healing stronger. So now nothing is going to die. We're just going to, like, walk around like it's a MOBA simulator. We've essentially gone back to 𝐒𝐿𝐻 3.0. Guys, think about it. A Lifeweaver puts his tree up, and he gives out everybody 100 overhealth to build up, and then they engage, right? As they begin to engage, so that's 100 overhealth. Junker Queen gives 50 overhealth to everybody else, right? You're all, with the exception of Junker Queen, everybody has just become a mini tank. And progressively, if you win the fight or you're not winning the fight, and if you are not winning the fight and you need it, you can then use Brigitte's Rally plus Inspire. And you guys can see where I'm going with this now, right? You can essentially turn effective HP. You can essentially turn a squishy hero with 200 HP into a 450 HP character with effective HP healing over time and all sorts of other things, not counting for, like, 𝐒𝐿𝐄's repair pack in that case, the other additional healing that Lifeweaver would put out, and his pull, and the rejuvenating dash. There's a lot of things to think about going forward that might push this game in a bit of a scary spot. I might be overthinking it. So if you think I'm overthinking it, you can talk to me about it in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts. And one final thing, they said that they're going to help make Bastion a little bit more fluid, like whatever. And Sombra is like getting some changes, and in season 7 she's gonna get a new ability, whatever. Like when the time comes, we'll see it. That is going to be it for this video. We're all basically waiting for August 10th, Overwatch 2 Invasion. Despite me being a little bit scared, I do want to see the full patch notes to get a full idea of what the game is going to look like. And then I'm going to make a follow-up video to this one, and we're going to talk about, the ups, the downs, who's strong, who's not strong, etc., etc., to kind of talk about this topic. Now, with that being said, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed the content, you want to support the channel for free, you don't have to give me any money. All you have to do is just hit subscribe and hit like. It really means a lot, and it really helps the channel with the algorithm. I'm going to keep it real. So if you do want to help a guy out, I would really appreciate it if you did that. I will see you in the next video where we'll talk about some other things.